Lil Scrappy, whose real name is Daryl Raynard Richardson, the third was born in Atlanta, Georgia, on January 19, 1984. Scrappy, a well-known artist in the Southern hip-hop industry, gained notoriety as a rapper with a unique crunk sound that combined intense beats with an unpolished, streetwise delivery. While performing at a club in Atlanta in the early 2000s, Scrappy was discovered by producer and rapper Lil Jon. His career took off once he signed to Lil Jon's BME Recordings, becoming one of the label's first performers with Trillville. His rise from the underground rap scene in Atlanta to widespread acclaim is a testament to his skill and fortitude in the face of adversity on both a personal and professional level. After his father, Daryl Sr., abandoned the family before Scrappy was born, Deborah Bryant, often known as Mama D, reared Lil Scrappy in a difficult upbringing in Southeast Atlanta. Scrappy was exposed to a terrible world at a young age due to Mama D, a complex figure in his life, who provided for the family through unusual means, such as managing prostitutes and distributing drugs. He nevertheless found a way to express himself through music, penning lyrics at the age of 9 and playing in front of local audiences by his early teens. Scrappy returned to Atlanta after attending a military high school in California, when Lil Jon became interested in his street-based business of selling homemade CDs and mixtapes. His career was sparked by this incident, which solidified his position in the Kunk movement, a hip-hop subgenre characterized by its explosive energy and party anthems. Scrappy's personal life has been just as exciting as his professional life. He has 4 children, 3 children, Briandex and Callie, with his wife Adia Bombi Benson, whom he married in 2017 after years of intermittent dating, and a daughter, Ameni, with his ex-fiancée Erica Dixon. Since 2012, he has been a main cast member of the reality TV show Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, where his relationships, especially those with Dixon and Benson, have been extensively documented. The King of Kunk and BME Recordings' split album from 2004 marked the beginning of Lil Scrappy's musical career. President Lil Scrappy and Trillville, which reached its highest position on the Billboard 200 at number 12. Although his early song, Head Boosa, was well received, his 2006 debut solo album, Bred to Die, Born to Live, cemented his reputation. The album, which was produced by Lil Jon and included industry giants like 50 Cent, Young Buck, and 36 Mafia, produced his most commercially successful single to date, Money in the Bank, which peaked at number 28 on the Billboard Hot 100. His gritty approach and southern roots were further displayed by other tracks, such as Oh Yeah, Work and Gangster Gangster, Prince of the South 2008, and its sequel Prince of the South 2010 were released by Scrappy through Real Talk Entertainment after his debut. These endeavors strengthened his self-proclaimed status as the Prince of the South, even though they didn't duplicate the chart success of his previous work. The single No Love from his 4th album, Thug Grussel, was released in 2012 and had over 100,000 views on YouTube in its first week. In 2009, Scrappy made his acting debut in the movie Just Another Day and briefly joined Ludacris's Disturbing the Peace label. Love and Hip Hop Atlanta has increased Scrappy's profile since 2012. His personal dramas, relationships, fatherhood, and efforts to bring his rap career back to life have kept him in the public eye. His continued prominence in Southern hip-hop was demonstrated in 2024 when he joined the Millennium Tour alongside singers like Bow Wow and Carrie Hilson, promoting new music like the club anthem Fangin' with Beat King and Sukihana, a life fashioned by adversity and fortitude. The name Daryl Raynard Richardson III is a byword for the unadulterated drama of reality TV and the raw energy of Southern hip-hop. However, beneath the bold lyrics and exaggerated character is a man whose life has been significantly impacted by hardship. Scrappy's narrative is one of perseverance in the face of unrelenting adversity, spanning from a traumatically impacted upbringing to the emotional scars that have strained his personal connections. His tale provides a window into the intricacies of a guy attempting to reclaim his identity while coping with his history, as demonstrated by his music and public conflicts, including a moving 2022 episode of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. The future. The formative years of Lil Scrappy were anything from steady. Scrappy was raised in a survival and sacrifice-focused household by his mother, Deborah Bryant, also referred to as Mama D. Before Scrappy was born, his father, Daryl Sr., left the family, leaving Mama D to raise her son by herself in a crime-ridden and impoverished neighborhood. Mama D used unusual and frequently illegal methods, such as drug peddling and most controversially managing prostitutes as a pimp, to make ends meet. This reality exposed Scrappy to the dark underbelly of Atlanta's streets at a young age, thrusting him into a world far beyond the innocence of childhood. Scrappy was forever changed by the shock of seeing his mother's hardships. Even though Mad's efforts were motivated by a strong desire to support her son and ultimately help finance his early musical endeavors, Scrappy suffered from a shattered sense of security as a result. He described his feelings on the concrete as a metaphor for the emotional instability and desertion that characterized his early years. Scrappy had to mature rapidly because to the lack of a conventional support network, ongoing danger, and moral ambiguity. This helped him develop the fortitude that would eventually inspire his music, but it also sowed the seeds of unresolved pain that would follow him into adulthood. In a conflict with Mama D during a 2022 episode of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, the reality TV show where he has been a regular since 2012, Scrappy's issues with his background reached a breaking point. Scrappy exposed the emotional cost of her previous decisions. He could no longer repress the pain of feeling abandoned in a more profound, intimate way, even as he acknowledged her sacrifices, such as using her money to fund his night rap career. The conversation focused more on a desperate need for understanding than it did on assigning blame. This incident marked a turning point in Scrappy's relationship with his mother as well as in his perception of himself, as he described how her position as a pimp had left him feeling alone and betrayed. Mama D, a divisive character on the show who was known for her flashy demeanor, justified her behavior as a survival strategy, claiming that Scrappy's hustle was what led to her success. However, the cash assistance was unable to fill the emotional gap for Scrappy. The encounter brought to light a major conflict in his life, the conflict between his appreciation for his mother's fortitude and the scars from growing up in her culture. The public facing of a personal suffering struck a chord with the audience and highlighted the intricacy of family ties formed through hardship. Scrappy's personal relationships, particularly his marriage to Adia Bombi Benson, have been plagued by the unresolved pain from his childhood. After years of intermittent relationship, Scrappy and Bambi were married in 2017. They have 3 children together, Briand, Zio, and Callie, included Amani, his daughter from a past marriage to Erica Dixon. Although their union has been joyful, Scrappy's emotional baggage has also put it to the test. He has acknowledged in open times on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta that the hurt from his past still affects him today and makes it difficult for him to truly connect with Bambi. An important turning point in Scrappy's path is his admission that he needs assistance processing his trauma. His public persona, brash, rebellious, and unrepentant, historically reflected the survival instincts he had developed as a young man. However, as he has grown older, he has started to show his vulnerability, which stands in stark contrast to the Prince of the South persona he developed through his music. His battles with Bambi, which are frequently featured on reality TV, show a guy torn between wanting to recover for his family's sake and the armor he created to defend himself. The dynamic between the pair, which is characterized by fervent reconciliations and public arguments, serves as an example of how difficult it can be to escape painful cycles when millions of people are watching. Despite the adversities that have shaped his life, Lil Scrappy's tale is one of perseverance rather than failure. Hits like Money in the Bank and No Love demonstrated his brilliance and perseverance, propelling him from Atlanta's underground rap scene to mainstream acclaim by transforming tragedy into art. Beyond music, he exhibits a strength that goes beyond the physical altercations and near-fatal mishaps that have characterized his career. His readiness to face his history, whether through candid songs or public treatment. Another challenge he conquered was the 2018 Miami vehicle accident, which left him hospitalized with face injuries and shattered bones. He came out of it with a fresh respect for life and family. The dual nature of adversity and hope is demonstrated by Scrappy's life. The emotional wounds from Mama D's decisions, the stress on his marriage to Bambi, and the tragedy of his early years are not incidental. Rather, they are essential chapters in a story of survival. His encounter with his mother in 2022 was a beginning, a step toward comprehension and possibly forgiveness, rather than a conclusion. Scrappy continues to be a multifaceted character as he balances family, music, and the spotlight. A man who is still trying to lay the groundwork for his future while being molded by the tangible remnants of his past. A career of aggression and determination. Like the slums he came from, Scrappy's debut in the music industry was tumultuous. He was accustomed to conflict from his upbringing in Southeast Atlanta, which showed in his performances. Club Legacy, a now iconic location in Atlanta's nightlife scene, was the scene of one of the most pivotal events of his early career in 2002. A fight broke out during a performance. Lil Jon, a titan of crunk music who was already making waves with his group, the East Side Boys, noticed the turmoil, but accounts differ as to whether it was caused by a personal argument or the boisterous spirit of the crowd. The producer was intrigued by the situation rather than put off by it, recognizing a fierce raw talent in Scrappy whose intensity matched the spirit of the genre. Instead of ruining his career, this violent show served as the improbable catalyst that resulted in his signing with BME Recordings, which launched his rise to fame. The Club Legacy fight was a foreshadowing of the chaos that would ensue after Scrappy, rather than a singular incident. His performances frequently drew audiences ready for both celebration and conflict because of their strong delivery and intense crunk sounds. The gritty reality that fans sought was reflected in this contradiction, which saw violence as both a result of his surroundings and an attraction for his audience. But it also established a standard. Physicality and artistry would be closely intertwined throughout Scrappy's career. This dynamic helped him advance, but it also made him open to the very chaos he represented. The brutality and stakes increased in tandem with Scrappy's rise in popularity. He had a spectacular run-in with the law at a performance in Florida in 2005, which highlighted the conflict between his growing notoriety and the unpredictable nature of his environment. Although the incident specifics are still unknown, reports suggest the police were called in during the performance, presumably as a result of crowd disturbances or a miscommunication with Scrappy. He was violently forced off the stage during the ensuing altercation, an embarrassing and risky incident that brought to light the thin edge he walked as a performer. His career was unaffected by the tragedy. The following year would see the release of his debut album, Bred to Die, Born to Live, but it contributed to the story of a man whose journey was more about survival than triumph. Another incident, the details of which are less well documented but no less significant, saw a more personal toll from the violence. In a different event, Scrappy suffered a vicious blow to the face that knocked out two of his front teeth. A bottle, a painful and expensive reminder of the physical risks he faced. The accident necessitated significant dental surgery. In addition to the financial strain, dental reconstruction for a well-known person is not inexpensive. His brazen smile, which had become a part of his identity, was momentarily altered by the experience. For Scrappy, who took great satisfaction in his charisma and street cred, this was more than just a minor setback. His identity was wounded, and he was forced to face the weakness that lay beneath his tough veneer. These events, the bottle attack, the Florida push in 2005, and Club Legacy in 2002, are not isolated instances. Rather, they are strands in a greater fabric of violence that has surrounded Scrappy's life. His origins in the less affluent areas of Atlanta, where he was raised by a single mother navigating a world of hustles and hardships, gave him a survivalist mindset that inspired his songs and pulled him into war. In addition to being a natural fit for Scrappy, the crunk movement itself attracted instability due to its emphasis on unadulterated violence and uncensored expressiveness. His performances went beyond simple concerts. They served as battlefields where the music's intensity could have tangible repercussions, surviving the collision that put his fortitude to the test. His early career was not the only instance of this pattern of violence. Despite having fractured bones and facial injuries, Scrappy escaped a near-fatal vehicle accident in Miami in 2018 after dozing off while driving and colliding with a pole. The event happened early on June 4, 2018, while Scrappy was driving through Miami, a city famous for its busy streets and exciting nightlife. A moment of vulnerability is shown by piecing together details from stories and his own accounts. He fell asleep behind the wheel, possibly exhausted by the demands of his personal or professional life. The repercussions were terrible and swift. His vehicle lost direction and struck a utility pole. Scrappy was stuck in a twisted pile of metal when the accident broke the car. He was taken to a local hospital by emergency personnel, where the severity of his injuries was discovered. Facial injuries that tarnished the face of a man who was known for his audacious demeanor, as well as damaged bones, including a fractured foot. Given the severity of the impact, Scrappy suffered serious injuries. A performer whose vitality had always been a pillar of his craft was sidelined by his damaged bones, especially the fractured foot. Even while they weren't as serious, the facial wounds were nonetheless significant. Temporary deformity for a well-known person whose reputation depended on his charisma. Surgery to fix his fractures and a course of pain medication and rehabilitation were part of the quick but taxing medical care he received. His income from music and television helped to offset the substantial financial expenditure. However, it was more difficult to measure the emotional cost. The choice to use love and hip-hop to document the accident. Atlanta, which symbolizes how Scrappy has spent a large portion of his life in the spotlight, was a decision that was both personal and business. The show's 7th season, which aired in 2018, included episodes about his recuperation and interwoven the events with the story of his hardships and victories. As his foot recovered, viewers witnessed him at home, relearning to walk after witnessing him struggle with agony and frustration in the hospital bed. Intimate moments with Bambi, whose relief was evident, and heated conversations with Mama D, whose dramatic flair conflicted with Scrappy's demand for composure, were captured on tape. Scrappy's complete recuperation from the 2018 mishap was evidence of his resilience, both mentally and physically. He was back on his feet by the end of 2018 with his face recovering and the cast taken off. Even though he still had emotional and physical scars, the encounter changed his perspective and left an enduring impression. He expressed thanks for his second chance in interviews and on Love and Hip Hop, attributing his success to his family. Only a few months after the tragedy, his son Brand was born in September 2018, serving both a physical reminder of what he almost lost and a symbol of rebirth. Tenacity in the face of treachery and rumors. Lil Scrappy was the subject of an unsettling rumor in 2022. Online, there were reports that he had passed away. Although the hoax's beginnings are still unknown, it might have been a malevolent prank or a case of mistaken identity. It spread quickly because to social media's viral nature. Given Scrappy's prominence on Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta, and his active involvement in the music scene, the revelation was shocking to fans and followers. As false information proliferates in the internet age, the rumor capitalized on a larger phenomenon of celebrity death hoaxes. For Scrappy, however, it was a personal insult, a lie that threatened to eclipse his truth. With trademark disobedience, Scrappy took charge of the story rather than allowing the rumor to grow. He started sharing pictures and videos of himself playing with his kids on Instagram. A man from his marriage to Adia Bambi Benson shared with his wife Erica Dixon, Brillin Zio, and Callie. The pictures served as a potent counter-argument, showing a grinning, healthy, and happy father enjoying the small pleasures of fatherhood. With a casual yet forceful tone, he captioned one image, "I'm good, fam," thus putting an end to the rumors. There was more to this response than just a refutation. It was a declaration of fortitude, a rejection to allow lies to define him. The 2022 fake was just one more challenge that he overcame with dignity and perseverance. As the world had already scrutinized his life, the public scrutiny that Scrappy experienced in 2022 wasn't the first or most intimate experience of hardship that he had. When his ex-girlfriend, rapper Diamond, Brittany Nicole Carpenter, cheated on him with Soulja Boy years ago, it was a devastating betrayal that devastated his world. Their common roots in Atlanta's hip-hop industry and their connection on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta had fostered the high-profile romance that started with Diamond around 2008 following Scrappy's breakup with Erica Dixon. In 2011, with hopes of a future together, Scrappy proposed to Diamond. However, the engagement fell through due to allegations of adultery. When Diamond started dating Soulja Boy, a younger rapper known for his brazen demeanor, and the hit song Crank, that in 2011 it was confirmed. It was a terrible and public betrayal. The connection was flaunted by Soulja Boy, and tabloids and reality TV covered Diamond's departure from Scrappy's life. It was a double sting for Scrappy, who had put a lot of passion into the connection. A personal loss made worse by publicity. He expressed his annoyance on Love and Hip Hop by denouncing Diamond's betrayal and battling the pain of being replaced. As supporters and detractors argued over his involvement in the split, the controversy damaged not only his reputation but also his heart. But Scrappy did not back down. He eventually found stability with Bambi after directing the grief into his music. The ability to persevere through hardships is what makes Lil Scrappy unique, not the hardships themselves. He should have been shaken by the 2022 death fake, but instead, he used it as an opportunity to connect with his supporters and demonstrate his role as a loving parent. Even though it was a low point, Diamond's treachery didn't stop him. He and Bambi reconstructed their personal lives, getting married in 2017 and starting a family. These occurrences add to the long list of difficulties. His mettle has been put to the test by violence during his performances and a near-fatal vehicle accident in 2018. Not unharmed, but not broken. Scrappy has come out on top each time. One thing that connects his life and work is his resilience. Through the turmoil of celebrity, the pain of betrayal, and the burden of hearsay, Scrappy demonstrates a man whose strength comes from facing hardship head-on rather than escaping it. He continues to be a survivor in both his personal and professional life. Through the darkness of his struggles, his tenacity shines like a beacon.